Sarah, I just, maybe not with what happened with all the stimulus, but take any period in history. If you get increased tax revenue from strong financial asset performance, that could result from pro-growth supply side policies. People argue with me now that all Reagan did, people that are 30 years old, 35, all he did was blow out the deficit. And they weren't even there. They read a chapter about it. But supply side, in my mind, and growing the pie is the only way to increase prosperity. Is that wrong?
Well, look, I think we did see some resulting growth from the tax cuts in 2017. But I think certainly we also saw deficit implications. I think the Congressional Budget Office and others have found that on balance, the growth that you get from tax cuts does not fully come up with the revenue that you need to offset the cut. But I think CBO has said it's a fifth or less. So there's certainly some, but I don't think there should be any expectation that, especially if we were to extend these cuts in 2025, that we should expect to have some really serious deficit implicaif that's why you're seeing Republicans, even on the Hill, talking about.
Well, if you cut, if we're at 16% or 17 or wherever we are, and you're spending 24, there's going to be a deficit. And over the years, we didn't spend 24. We spent 19. Sure. Maybe we're down a little. From 1923 till for the next 100 years, we averaged 17.5 in terms of revenue. We have to live at 17.5, maybe not 16, but we can't expect 24 for that part of the GDP to be used as taxes, and we can't continue to spend 24. So who in the right mind, Sarah, can argue that we're spending too much if we're at 24 in an economy that's growing?
Certainly, I hope next year that both spending and revenue spending cuts and revenue are on the table. We do need both sides. At the same time, we have an aging population. We have a really dangerous world with a lot of defense needs. So it's not totally unexpected that we should see slightly higher than average on the spending side. But you're right. We need to have conversations about spending reductions as well, and a serious conversation on the revenue side. I think it has to be both.
That's all we do. I hate when people, not you, Sarah, but when people say we need to have that conversation, which means we need to talk about it, but we really, not going to do anything about it.
Sarah, I'm curious. You started to talk about, we're hearing comments on the Hill from Republicans that we can't just extend all of these tax cuts and incur, whether it's $3 trillion or $4 trillion added to the deficit, whatever the number. I think Joe would even agree that this would probably add to the deficit if we extend all these tax cuts. What are you hearing about possible pay-fors that are getting even some minor consensus among Republicans right now?
Well, certainly you saw the House Ways and Means chair on the Republican side talking about even a higher corporate rate. That is probably less likely to get traction on the Republican side. But there's a lot of Republican think tanks that are out there talking about, one, ways to constrain the extension of the tax cuts, different tweaks you can make, and then potentially putting some higher rates on the table, whether it's on the individual side, and again, a little bit we're seeing on the corporate. But it's it's a hard conversation. I think it's really not going to start in earnest until we get through the election. And to your point, I do hope that spending will be seriously on the table next year as well. I do think a balanced program needs both.
Okay, Sarah, appreciate it. Thank you.